Does Crow have rabies or something? It's like freaking out. In this episode, I see a squirrel, some big ponies, ponies guys, and flush a toilet. It's time for another episode of Breakfast Outside the Triangle. It's actually our first episode of this season. There's only going to be one episode because I'm only going to stay in that triangle one night. It was okay. There was luckily a thunderstorm in the distance that brought in much cooler air and ended up cooling it down. So I slept totally fine inside of it. I still woke up at like 4:30 in the morning because that's when the sun comes up here, and it's like the sun comes up, all the animals start making noise. It's like, okay, that's your alarm clock. That's okay though, because I went to bed at like 8 p.m. or something. So yeah, the triangle was fine. I think it could use a fan. If it had a fan, I would upgrade it from fine to pretty fine. Today's weather is going to be okay until about noon, where it looks like some rain is going to start to come in. So the agenda is to get to some place by then and hope that they let me come inside the building because they don't have check-in until 3. But I think if I'm on a motorbike and it's a rider house, so it's like they're used to motorcycle people. I think that, I mean, I can't believe I can't suspect they're going to be like, go stand in the rain until 3 o'clock. So I think I'll be okay. I don't even know, I realize that I don't even know what town I'm in right now. I have no idea what the name of the city is. So I do have a couple of things I need to grab from a pharmacy on the way out the door. And I should probably load up on food of some sort before I go to where I'm headed, because it's about a 10-minute motorcycle ride from a convenience store. And if it's going to be rainy, then obviously it'd be nice to just have some stuff on hand. Otherwise I'm going to have to eat that calorie mate. I do want to look around these woods a few minutes before I leave. So I'm going to pack up Scooty, which is a lot easier since I slept in a triangle. I don't have to pack up a tent. And I'm going to look around just for a few minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here because it's about an hour drive. I've got to stop, and it's probably still pretty early, so yeah, it's like 6:30. So I have enough time. I have like 5.5 hours before the rain starts. So I think I'm good. So you could just take 5.5 hours, take an hour out for driving, take 30 extra minutes out because you made a mess. You know, you got to do those backwards maths, and then you can figure out how long do I actually have. Oh, it's 5 minutes. Once I brush my teeth and like put fuel in the Scooty or all the things, take the case off, take the cover off Scooty. The world's hard. Okay, so anyway, breakfast. Typically these are called lunch packs. It's like a brand, but they get made by other companies, and it is a piece of bread where there is no crust, and they've sealed it, like clamped it down and made this really clean seal on the outside, and they put various flavors inside of them. And to me, the best one has been peanuts. And people might think, oh, it's like peanut butter. It's more like a sweet peanut paste. It's like very sweet. I would absolutely recommend picking them up. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if you get the name brand lunch pack ones or whatever. They're all good. But sometimes I'll have these things with like tuna fish in them, or like ume, or just like lots and lots of different various flavors. And some of them are like regional flavors. We made a video about a shop that sells these things exclusively that was in Ikebukuro Station a few years ago. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it's a fun experience if you're in the neighborhood and it's still there. You know, I'm sitting here munching my lunch pack, thinking about this triangle. I don't know exactly when it would be a good time to sleep in that triangle. Like, I got really lucky that there was a thunderstorm. If there hadn't been a thunderstorm and the temperature had stayed brutal, it would have been horrible in there last night. So like, the summer is not good. And it's just sort of a campground. So like, if it's going to be a really rainy, this wouldn't be the greatest place to stay. Like, what would you just sit in the triangle all day? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing, you wouldn't have anything to do. So like on a rainy day, typically it wouldn't be that great. And like, it gets really cold up here in the winter, and there's no heat inside the triangle. So I don't know who would want to stay in there in the winter. I don't know. I don't understand this triangle. It's a weird place to sleep. I'm just really happy it rained a little bit last night. Oh, it's so much nicer. I was like laying on the outside of the sleeping bag, and then the temperature dropped, and it got to the point where I like kind of half climbed underneath you know, inside the sleeping bag, like left it zipped open so I could get a little air. Right? That was the perfect temperature. Scooted up to the top of the hill as far as I can scoot. Well, legally, I don't think I could probably continue to scoot. I don't know if it's going to upset anybody. There's no sign, but there's these poles. Poles usually mean no, but scooty'd fit in those thick hips. And we've got a 730 meter walk up to Midori no... I don't know what this kanji is, actually. I should look that up. It looks like some sort of rock kanji because of this guy, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's like a boulder or something. That'd be my guess. So we're going to go up there. Midori just means like greenery, green. So let's go. I looked up the kanji and it does not mean anything to do with a rock exactly. It means fort. Just not a word I've ever seen in Japanese. There's not a lot of forts in Japan. So I'm not sure what to expect up at the top. But looking back at the kanji, a little bit it kind of makes sense because the radicals, the pieces that make up the kanji, it means like stop, rock, like the rock you would stop at kind of, and then spoon. I don't know how spoon fits in there. Maybe just so you can eat. I don't know. Hopefully it's something. I don't know what to expect from a fort in Japan. I've come up to a field on my way to the fort and it looks like they cut down a lot of trees and also the sign that would indicate which direction I should be walking seems to have been a victim of the cutting as well, because there's nothing there telling me if I should go that way or that way. Something tells me they probably go to the same place. And if there's stairs, that's probably shorter for people with legs as opposed to taking the road for scooters that I should have just done. Okay, that sign's doing me dirty. I came up the steps, it wasn't really that far. And I figured it would just keep going up, but now it's going down. I feel like a fort is like at the top, right? So the sign not having a thing, like what direction I should go, like, am I just gonna go down a hill and end up lost? If I even have data here, to be honest. It was really sketchy last night. Do not have data. Come on, people. You got to pay to stay inside of this like facility, right? Like, maintain your signs, y'all. Like, this is something that I complain about a lot probably when I go hiking in Japan. Signage here, man, it's so terrible. And it's not that I mean, I can read it. Like, it's fine. I can read enough to like, understand directions and things like that, of course. Even if I don't know that the kanji meant fort, like I still know like 750 meters that direction. There's just no signs, like they just disappear. You just end up lost in the woods and get eaten by a bear, man. This is totally unrelated, but yesterday I went to that hard off to cool off and get into some aircon. And I saw those Virtual Boy games. One of them was a game called Jack Brothers. I know the name of this game because it's like historically extremely expensive, but the American version, I knew that. However, they had a copy of it there for like 4,400 yen or something. And I was like, I wonder what the Japanese version is worth, like if you sell it like in America. Turns out it's worth like $100, even without the box, without the manual. So now I'm kind of like, I should have bought that and scalped that bastard on eBay. But, oh well. The road that I walked down instead of the stairs that I walked up and then down is now going down as well. So I guess it didn't matter which one I went on. I was going to be going up and down and up and down. I still haven't seen any signs, which is again like kind of an annoyance. But I would like to point out something about this. Something says something about either me or just like human nature. Like, I was frustrated there wasn't a sign pointing to a thing that I didn't even know what was or existed until like a minute before. Like, it's like, it's not that big a deal if I don't find it, you know what I mean? But there are times where it's serious. Like, you'll be way out in the woods trying to find your way along something, and then the signs will just have disintegrated, or they aren't there, or they point in weird directions and don't make any sense. Maps are complicated and hard to read. Like, this is definitely a theme that goes on here. But this particular time is not, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I could probably like look through the trees and see the town. I'm not going to exactly die up here. I saw the other end of this trim course. I guess trim? I don't really know. I mean, I don't know what that means, to be honest. But I saw the other end of it at the entrance of the campsite. And it looks kind of cool from the other end. And here we've got a thing that says I can go back 450 meters to the campsite, or I can go to like this observation tower thing. I guess that's 150 meters, but nothing about the fort. So I'm not really sure. Maybe this is the fort? Is it possible that this is it? I don't know. Let's see if we can find the observation tower. It's 150 meters. It's not far. I should be able to see it, right? This is a great example of how ridiculous this is. I've reached the observation tower 150 meters away, but it's also the fucking fort. They've used two different names on the signs. It says Midori no Toride. Consistency is a perfect example of how the signage is always just like, what is happening? But it looks like a fort for real. It does actually look like what I would think of as like a Western style fort. I have no idea if these exist like this, like in Japan for realsies, or if this is something that was just built like as a, hey, this is a quirky, cool thing. Like historically, these type of structures, is that a thing from Hokkaido? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it fits the aesthetic. That felt dramatic. I was just trying to show that the thing was low. It's not bad. This gives you a pretty good bird's eye view of the fields and just how many of them there are and how straight all the roads are. And in the distance, you can see the little town that I went into yesterday where I went to the supermarket and picked up my dinner. It's quite close. It seems like a fairly substantial buildup. It's not like a huge city or anything, but there's quite a few buildings down there. I just wonder how much of this is like peppermint and potato or onion money. That's what it was. Peppermint and onion money. Is that driving the entire economy here? Or is there more going on? I was just walking down the stairs looking at my phone like a moron. And this became a problem. I'm wearing a hat. It caught my hat. I was like, oh shit. Look up, dumbass. Look how low that is though, for real, man. My shoulder is touching it. This is gonna sound weird to almost everybody, but we don't really have wild squirrels in Tokyo. So to see a wild squirrel-like creature, it's kind of a moment. Man, he's really squirreling around. Little guy almost climbs trees as good as the fox did. All right, let's slide out of Triangle Town. I've got some trash over here that I've got to take care of. So that means a quick convenience store stop. And I was considering going to a pharmacy in this town. However, they don't open for another hour because it's only 8:09. They open at 9, so 50 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoot to another town that has a pharmacy that's on the way. And we'll just do it then, because by the time I get there, it'll be opened. But as you can see, this is like a decent little campground to stay at. I would say the toilets weren't that great though. I don't think I filmed them, but there's no washlet, and that's the kind of boy I am now. If I don't have a washlet, guys, I'm not using this toilet. Come on now, we're not animals. Glad that guy didn't bother me in my triangle last night. I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. It's 8:18 right now. Can you see how high in the sky the sun is? Like, Japan is absolutely in the wrong time zone. The sun comes up at like literally 4:45 or something crazy. And then half the day is gone by 9. And then it's like dark super early. It just seems like the schedule that this is running on is wrong. Something that I'm noticing driving through these farms this morning is I'm seeing a lot of the people out working at the farms. And by that I mean driving the machines and stuff like that. There's not like anybody out here like doing hard labor or anything. But all of the people that I'm seeing that are working are older dudes. The young dudes are in their 50s. And all the other dudes that I'm seeing driving tractors or doing anything are quite a lot older than that, like 60s and 70s. So where are the young people? I know is like the question of the day for Japan, but what's going to happen to these farms like when all of those older dudes aren't older dudes anymore? Because that's coming soon. And there's a lot. This is not like small operations. These are like big commercial operations. So just, are they gonna, what happens? What's gonna happen? I have questions, I have no answers. By the way, did you see how fast that car went by me? I'm doing 60, and I think the speed limit's 50. Onions, baby. My dude is hauling onions. Or were those potatoes? Hard to tell. They smell a lot different, but visually, at a glance in a basket, it's hard to tell. It's wild to me that 7 years ago I was up hitchhiking in this area because there are very few cars. I must have been somewhat concerned periodically about getting a ride, not because people wouldn't pick me up, but because there were no people. I am coming up on what I think is the northern coast of Hokkaido. Hey, there it is. Yes, there is water. and I will be kind of in this area for a while. I have spent quite a bit of time up here before, hiding from a different typhoon many years ago. 7 years ago when I was hitchhiking, I was coming down this road. And I was riding with somebody. And this road is kind of interesting. It's a straight shot that runs between a big lake and the ocean. And out the window, I saw something and I was like, I want to see this again. It's ponies, guys. There's some ponies. And just like, they're kind of out in this field like when I went by last time. But today, they're just jumbled up right here, so it's really easy to have a peek. I'm thinking about these ponies for 7 years. Hokkaido has its own breed of horse. This stocky, really muscular, thick horse. And I've been wondering ever since I saw these, are those that horse? I don't think they are. These just look like normal horses, aside from the patterns and the colors. One of them's all spotted and stuff like a Dalmatian, but otherwise they just look like normal horses to me. But I'm not a horseologist, so I don't know, maybe not. Yo, look at the spider. Jesus. Just across the street from the ponies is a Michi-no-eki style building, tourist center type thing. And there's apparently a garden of flowers kind of in this area, but I think I've missed flower season by a few weeks. So there's only like kind of the remnants of flowers blooming, which I think is a pretty explosive display in early summer. Also along here is a train line. And the train line runs along the ocean, the same as the road. And I saw the train go by when I was driving, and it's a one-car diesel train. One-car trains are pretty uncommon. 2 cars maybe happen now and then, but this is one single train car that went by. And it only comes to this particular station 11 times a day total. 5 one direction, 6 the other. I think it might go back and forth a couple more times in the day and it doesn't hit this station because this station is really only a tourist stop. So in the nighttime, unless these ponies are like commuting, it's not really necessary for that train to be stopping. Inside this Michi-no-eki, they have got a test of kanji that all use the bird radical. This is complicated. These are not commonly written. Some of them are okay. I do think I know a few, so I promise I haven't looked, but here we go. Niwatori. Okay, got it. That means chicken. I'm just passing everything that I have no idea. Camel for duck. Camel, okay. Got it. Either that, I think this is hato. It's either this one or this one. Hato, got it. That's washi? Taka, taka, this one's taka. Ah, yes. And then that one's washi, I think. Yes. I think that's all I recognize that I know. I know, this one's really familiar. Fukuro. Damn it. That I should have known. This is a bit peculiar. It's like a bowl of rice and a bird with some chopsticks. And the bird is not happy, clearly. The peculiar part is it's all written in Chinese, not Japanese. I didn't think I'd be here long enough, but I followed around long enough that I got to just wait a few extra minutes longer than I would have normally been here. I got to see the little train come. And they've got a little crossing, a pedestrian crossing to get over into the flower garden area. And they have dudes that stand to stop people from walking across it. Like 2 guys come out every time the train comes, instead of having like the arms come down. Like they've just got literal human beings that come out and stand there and make sure nobody jumps in front of the train, I guess. You have trouble kind of missing it though. Like, I mean, like everybody's there looking at it, taking pictures, but I guess some people will fool. So 2 dudes who've got a thing to do 11 times a day. I'm keeping an eye on the weather and making sure I still have time. I'm very close to where I'm hoping to stay. I haven't even called to find out if I can stay there or not. I'm assuming if I can't, it's going to be a soggy disaster. But I have stopped and gotten some lunch beforehand because I think once the rain starts, I don't know how long it's going to go. So I rolled into the pharmacy and picked up some stuff as well to try to get me through any rain that might be happening. A bunch of calorie mate. See if we end up there. So I'm trying to have a nice meal before any of that happens. And who knows, maybe it won't even rain. I've gotten a yakiniku variety plate. It's got some yakiniku, it's got a little wiener, it's got a little hamburg, and it's all in a demi-glaze sauce. Came with a set, soup, rice, salad, and a little cafe kind of thing. Very nice lady that works here. But when I came in, I sat as far away from anybody as I could because I'm gonna film, right? And this dude that's here saw me, immediately put a mask on, changed seats so his back was to me. like he was startled. Like, anyways, it's a weird feeling when that happens. Okay. Salad's fun. That's just a salad. Salad here is usually based with cabbage, and that's what we've got going on here. And get some yakiniku. It's good. The demi-glaze sauce feels like maybe it's based off of ketchup a little bit. This town has got a lot more going on than I remember. When I was here last time, I felt like I had a hard time finding restaurants. It seems like there's a lot now, but maybe I've got it mixed up in my head with a different place. I was also on foot, so you can't get around quite as much. And at the time, I didn't have a phone with internet, so maybe it was just lack of access to the collective intelligence of the universe. And I know that y'all are still sitting around waiting for me to eat this wiener, so let's get down on a wiener. Japanese wieners are so good. Yeah, this is a decent meal, man. It's actually quite good. It's like 1,200 yen or something, so it's a little expensive, but there's a lot going on here. And I kind of suspect I'm not going to have much for dinner, so I figured I'd stuff myself now. Before somebody comes at me in the comments and was like, of course he put his mask on, you weren't wearing one, which I'm sure is coming. Everybody else in there wasn't wearing masks, including one of the staff. So it was totally a reaction to me. I've noticed something that I find interesting. This area, again, like most of Hokkaido, can get quite a lot of snow. But you don't really see people driving personal vehicles that are like things people think about for snow vehicles. There's not like a lot of like four-wheel drive SUVs and big trucks and the kinds of things that people in the States would be driving. It's just the same kind of cars you'd see in Tokyo, basically. Minivans, little cars, K cars, things like that. So is it just that they're really good about cleaning the roads, or do people just not go out if it's snowing? Like, what's the deal? I gotta come up here in the winter and see the lifestyle. It's like so different looking. It must be like, I can't envision even what it would look like compared to what I've seen so many times when I come up here in the summer. Like, yeah, like look at that little car. And look at that little car and that little car. I've made my way out to where I plan on staying. It's about a 10 or 15 minute scoot out of town through a bunch of fields and farms. And what's interesting about the place is it's an old elementary school that they have turned into a writer house. The lady who runs it is a little quirky, or at least the lady I've met. I don't know if she runs it or not. But I went up to go in. It's like 1 o'clock. I just wanted to like look inside, you know what I mean? Like see what's going on. And she was like, check-in is at 3. And I was like, okay, that's okay. And I was like, can I just like look inside and see if it's okay? And she said, nope, not till 3 o'clock. So it's like 1 o'clock. And she was like, she basically was like, you gotta go. And I was like, it's gonna rain in like within an hour, apparently, according to the thing. And she was like, okay, well, you can sit at this picnic table. I was like, okay, so I'll sit at the picnic table. It's got shade. And now I'm just gonna wait for a couple of hours while the clock ticks forward. It's peculiar. It's not a big deal. It's just weird. Scooty has got a cover, so that's good. So if it does get rainy or whatever, Scooty's got a little bit of rain protection, and I like that. And I just want to like verify, basically, like, is this going to be an okay place for me to stay? I just want to look, and she won't let me go. She won't let me look. And there's like customers coming in and out and stuff. So it's not like it's like on lockdown for some reason. She's just like, nope, you can't go in there. So if it sucks, you know what I mean? And I don't want to stay here, I'm going to kill the good weather just sitting here. So it's almost like, should I go someplace else? Like, I don't know. Well, it definitely is an elementary school, or was an elementary school. It's not very big. I think there's only like 3 or 4 classrooms, and then maybe a science room or something, because it's like a table back here. And the rooms upstairs, they've put bunk beds inside of so that you can stay inside of them, and they've divided them into men's who snore, and women's. I guess women don't snore. This is peculiar, but it definitely has the same feel as the place that I stayed last time I was in this town. That was quite a ways away. That used to be a writer house. I don't think is anymore. So I think it might be the same old dude at the desk. But it's been 7 years. It's a little shaky on my memory. But it seems all right. The issue is it's really hot inside this building right now, and I don't think there's any aircon or anything. So here's to hoping that the temperature will drop when the evening comes. But I do have places to charge things, which is something I needed to do. I have places to wash myself, which is something I needed to do. I have places to wash my clothes, which is something I need to do. And I have a place to at least sit. It might be an oven, but I can sit here and I can edit, which is something that I need to do. So it does check a lot of boxes. So I just paid 3,000 yen to stay here for 3 nights. It's really cheap. And I will probably spend at least one of the days exploring a little bit. There's a national park near here that I want to go drive through. And then I need to spend a day editing, and I'll probably try to pick the cooler day to edit. And I'll deal with being out in the heat. Sounds kind of counterproductive, right? But it's going to be better to be moving through the air than sitting inside of this oven of a school trying to like focus on stuff that takes brain power. By the way, it never rained. It thundered a little bit in the distance, but it never actually precipitated here. I've just discovered evidence of a cat somewhere in this school. This cat, we gotta find it. I'm kind of sticking my nose around in places here, which is maybe not the best of ideas, because while the rooms upstairs smell totally fine, a lot of these other rooms are dank. Like these shower rooms smell like mold is going to choke you to death. And the bathroom smells like, it smells like a bathroom, but it smells like a bathroom in a place that's like $8 a night, let's put it that way. Good news, I found the kitty. Are you chill? Oh, you're very chill. Good morning. First night in elementary school was fine. It's really hot in the room that we sleep in, and it does cool off to a reasonable temperature at a certain point, but like I never got underneath of my sleeping bag. By the way, at writer houses, they're so cheap they don't give you any bedding or anything, so you have to have a sleeping bag or bedding if you want to carry bedding. So you use your own gear basically, because I mean it's all of like what, $7 or $8 a night. So it was just, this is hot. And it's like, there's fans in certain places, but none upstairs. It's just peculiar. I find these things weird. It's like, I just want to do these tiny little things to fix these places. All you gotta do is like go buy a 3,000 yen fan and stick it in the room and put it in the window so it pulls air in. And it'd be like so much nicer for everybody. But, oh well, I guess it just gets, everybody just gets to be hot. And like everybody was like, no, nobody was covered with anything, and everybody's like laying there in their underwear like, oh. But this is an interesting place, like writer houses. The people that come here are always kind of quirky, interesting folks, and like one dude just like slept outside like on a bench with his head on a table. I was like, all right. And one thing that's not great news is that the room that I wanted to use to edit video in tomorrow, I can't. You're not allowed to be in the building at all between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So I can't just sit in there and edit. So it might be a situation where it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but it's always supposed to rain. It never does. I don't know what I'm going to do, because like that was kind of like the main appeal of coming here. Because when I stayed at the other place in this area that I assumed had been run by the same people, and I'm pretty sure I am right because all the signage is the same. the thing that was great is I could sit inside and I could edit. But I don't think I can do that here. So I might end up out here at these picnic tables editing in the rain, but it's covered mostly. You guys seen this spotted pony? Look like he can help put out a fire. You're the cleanest thing in the school. In that little van.